So retubes can be newer boats that have been involved in an accident, or old boats that are basically starting new lives. And here's a selection of old boats that are starting new lives. These will all be retubed and will be like new when they're done. Here's a boat we've retubed already that's waiting to be collected by the customer. Here you can see we've used a special strake to match the existing one that was on the boat. We've used a special grey-blue rope, special handles, and styled the tube to suit how this boat was originally made. The more traditional retubing of a simpler, older boat can be something like this. If you have a specific fitting on your boat, we can reuse it. Right, okay, here is a 5.8 Tornado, about 25 years old, that's in for retube. British Divers Marine Life Rescue. We supplied this boat new when we were at Tornadoes, and as you can see, it's stood up well, but it's come to the end of its life really. We did a sample repair on it earlier, but it needs new tubes. So we're going to show you how the tubes come off. If we have a template, we make the tubes from the template we have. If we don't have the template, we take the tubes off intact, take them apart, and make a template out of them. As we have a template for this boat, we're just cutting the tubes off. If we didn't have a template, we would take the tubes off intact and take them apart to make a template. Here you can see the baffle, and as you can see on this boat, the baffle has in fact already failed, but it's not surprising on a boat that's 25 years old. You can see the difference the sun's made. The fabric on the inside is one colour, but the fabric on the outside has faded and the surface has started to degrade, and you're seeing the weave of the cloth underneath through it. That ripping wouldn't happen with new fabric. That's where the 25 years has got to the fabric, and it's starting to become brittle all over. So when people say they've got a seam's failed, the reality is it's not just one seam. It's every seam's failing. You've seen one go. Again, here you see the baffles have started to degrade inside. So this boat wasn't holding air across the separate compartments. Another reason why there was no point in trying to repair it any further, and why it needed a complete retube. Here you can see that effectively the glue bond on this side has actually failed where it's attaching to the hull. It's completely come away. And bearing in mind this boat was in use up until we took it apart. You know, inflatable boats are not meant to last 25 years. And you can see that whilst it was in use and it worked, was it safe? And that's a very good question. And I think you need to ask that question of any boat that's 15 to 20 years old. Is it safe? It might look okay and it might work, but is it safe? Once we've got the fabric off the hull, we then need to clean it all up and have a look and see if the hull flange in any way is damaged. On older boats, it's not unusual for the flange to have cracks in it. This one looks like it might be okay, but until we get it completely cleaned and taken apart, we can't really see. When we do our retubing, where we make new boats. So when we finish your retube, it will be as good as a new boat. How long have you been making tubes, Melvin?
I'd say roughly about 18 years.
And where did you learn to do it?
Tornado boats.
And do you think you've improved the way you make tubes over the years?
Well, the world is a lot better than what was at Tornado, and I suppose, yeah, in a way, yeah.
Yeah? And what do you prefer working with, polyurethane or Hypalon?
Polyurethane, definitely.
As you can see, there are a vast number of processes in making a boat. When it comes to making the tubes, we roll the fabric out and inspect it. We place the patterns on, it's cut out. The edges of the fabric are then skived or stripped back. This gives a smooth finish when we weld it. The seams are welded, the baffles are welded in, the ends of the baffles are welded up. The main seam, which lays under the rubbing strake, is glued. Once the tube is completely assembled, it is then pressure tested and ready to go on the hull. Once the tube has been pressure tested, it's then offered up to the hull where we can mark the tube so that we know precisely where it's going to go onto the hull. This has to be done very carefully because the fit is precise. Once a tube is marked, it's then prepared to take the glue. There'll be 2 coats of glue put onto the tube. We then prepare the hull. This again has 2 coats of glue. Once that's done, the tube is then held down by the guys to bond it. This takes about 10 to 15 minutes. Once it's bonded in place, we then rub out any air that's got into the tray, between the tray and the tube. This can be done by hand. Then we leave it for 24 hours to dry. Then the boat's fitted out. As you can see, a lot of people involved, all the bits and pieces go on, the strakes, the patches, the handles, the names, and so on. Once all that is done, the boat is then ready to go back to the customer. What we see here is that a boat of 10, 15, 20 years old might look sound. It might be in working condition, but the reality is the fabric has degraded. Boats are not meant to last 15, 20 years. And the question you have to ask is the boat I'm using safe? And is the boat I'm about to buy safe? Retubes can be done, but you need to cost this in at purchase. Thank you for watching.